I'd like the shir to be in memory of Hinda Bas Yechiel. I went today for a funeral. That was one of the saddest funerals I've ever went to. There was no one there. So a son and a daughter and grandchildren.
Why didn't you call me?
No, there was only going to be 2 Jewish men and maybe 3. A Holocaust survivor who went through 5 years of Gehenna and back. She came to the United States of America. And Nebuch has a son and a daughter who care about nothing. They just
didn't show up.
They showed up. They showed up. I felt so bad for the. So when the person asked me for the ribbon, you know, they have that silly ribbon. Yeah. It was raining. I said, we don't got no ribbons. We don't have a ribbon. I just took an Arturus shirt. I said, forget it. This woman deserves a little better.
A little better, yeah.
And his wife was screaming, "What? Where's the ribbon? Where's the ribbon?" When you come home, you'll get the ribbon.
Yeah.
Your mother-in-law was a Holocaust survivor. She didn't survive all this to come here to the United States and America to have a ribbon. So I said that there was no minyan there. I said that tonight will be in her memory, and we'll say Kaddish afterwards. But it really connects to everything we're going to learn today. The Frierdiker Rebbe once said that there was an old chassid that told him that chassidim say that what's the first mitzvah in the Torah? The first mitzvah in the Torah is urvu. Ein yid macht a zweite yid. The first thing, you're a Jew, you produce another Jew. You're a chassid, you produce another chassid. And he told it to his father, and his father liked it very much. So much so, there's a Sicha when the Frierdiker Rebbe came to Poland out of Russia, and he spoke to the students, and he said that sometimes they complain that they don't have like a sviva, you know, they're in college, or they don't have like it's someone in their level to talk to. Frierdiker Rebbe says, you're not ashamed to tell me such a thing? A Yid macht das sviva. A chassid macht das sviva. A Yid makes that the people around him should be like him. The Yid influences the... How, you're not embarrassed to tell me that you don't have a sviva? You're not embarrassed to tell me that the people around you are not influenced by you? So that's what... Tonight we're learning about the mitzvah of Ein Yid macht a zweite Yid, about one Jew producing another Jew. We know that Chazal tell us in the same Gemara that Chazal talk about. Chazal say that why are we waiting for Mashiach to come? Because there's a bank of neshamas that have to come out, and the Gemara in Yevamah says that when all the neshamas come out, and then Mashiach is going to come. So this unbelievable thing. We're waiting for. That's I said tonight we have to learn about this. This morning we read the whole shit about birth control and the akula hin, akula her, different ways, different methods. I said we have to counterbalance it with a shir tonight about the importance of having many children. And we know that, and not only that, there is a ton of there is a medrash. The medrash says, unbelievable thing. How is Mashiach come? What's going to be the big schus that they're going to have? What's going to be the unbelievable schus that they have when Mashiach comes? That they're going to have big families. They're going to be from families, and they're not going to be shy, and they're going to, you know, when you go to the airport, I say to myself sometimes, I say to my wife, we should have like on the thing, yes, you counted right. It's 9. You know how people are standing like this, they go.
They counted within the airport.
Wherever, it doesn't matter. Wherever I go, wherever I go in the United States of America, not me, every from family. Yeah, if you're in Goysville, USA, all of a sudden you turn into the attraction. You turn into the attraction. They're going like this, and you hear them arguing.
But they say
it's 10 or 11. How many of them? So the Yidden are not apologetic about it, and the Yidden produce a lot of Yiddish kindlach. And in that schus, Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to come.
Amen.
Okay, so let's get straight to it. Parshas Bereshis and Parshas Noach. In Parshas Bereshis, there's a pasuk, Vayvorech Leisam Malakim, Vayomer Lehem Malakim, Pru Revu Mila Aretz V'Chivshua, that the Eibusha gave them a bracha, and the Eibusha told them to fill the earth and conquer the earth. And then the Parshas Noach, there's a pasuk, Vayvorech Leisam Noach, V'Zbona Vayomer Lehem, Pru Revu Mila Aretz. The Eibusha gave a bracha to Noach and his children, and he told them that they should have the mitzvah prudavu and to fill the world with having children. So like the Gemara in Yevamah, it's like the Mishnah.
The mitzvah is not just for the Jews.
Yes, the mitzvah is not only for the Jews. Specifically, now after the Torah was given, that mitzvah is for the Jews. But at that time, it was for all mankind. Yeah, you're making a good point. But we don't find it as one of the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Sagt the Gemara in Yevamis, sagt the Mishnah, lo yavat l'adam epidi v'ribe, that a person should not stop having children, producing children. Elam ken yesh libonim, unless he already has children, then he can stop. B'shama emrim shnei zachorim, the B'shama said the minimum is 2 sons. B'sil elam ezachar nekeva. B'sil say, no, the minimum is to have a son and a daughter. Shenem ezachar nekeva bar. Sagt the Gemara, masnissen de lo Rabbi Yeshua. There's a girsa dispute if we really say masnissen de lo Rabbi Yeshua or not. And we'll talk about this soon. This is all part of the discussion today. But one reading is the Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says not that way. Rabbi Yeshua says you never stop having children. The Tanya, we learned the Braise, Rabbi Yeshua says, no, so Adam should be aldusa. If a person had a wife when he was young, he should marry again when he's old. He had children when he was young. He should also have children when he's old. It says in Kehelis, in the morning plant your seed, in the evening, don't stop.
But when he's older, he should take younger woman.
Yeah, versteht
Not have with older woman.
you're raising a good question. What should he do? Should he divorce his first wife? Marry a second wife? What's he supposed to do? You don't know. He doesn't know. That's all part of the pasuk. He doesn't know which one of the seeds are going to be good. Obviously, in Kehelis, it's a moshel. We're not talking about apple trees and orange trees or avocados. We're talking about children. The seed that the person plans to have children. You don't know which seed is going to be successful. The early one or the later one. Maybe both are going to be good. The reason I'm quoting a little more Gemara because later in the discussion everything will be relevant. Rabbi Kiva says when you learn Torah when you're young, you should learn Torah when you're old. If you have Talmidim when you're young, you should have Talmidim when you're old. The same thing, the pasuk. You plant your seeds, and the seeds here are not your biological children, but your students. These are your children. Amru 12,000 zugim Talmidim Rabbi Akiva. That Rabbi Akiva have 12,000 peers. That means 24,000 students, peers of students. Megivas va'ad and Tifras, all over Israel, from the south to the north, from the city Givas to Antifras. V'kula meisu b'perek echad, they all died in one period of time. And the world was empty from learning Torah. Shabbat Akiva, Eitzel Rebbeinu Shabbadorim. He went to the north. V'shana lahem Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Yosef, Reb Shimon, Reb Elazar, and Shamua. These 5 students were his students. V'heim himidu Torah. So, in other words, to show you, he had 24,000 students. They all never died. He was already an old man, Rabbi Akiva. He lived a very long life until he was killed. And you would think he would give up already, or whatever. He's been there, done that.
He starts 40s. You have to be old.
He's got to be very old now, right?
Yeah.
No. He went, and these 5 students that he had turned out to be the most successful students. And all the Torah we have today is, every page of Gemara you turn has at least one of these 5 names. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, there's the Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon is the author of the Zohar HaKadosh. Okay. Zok the Shulchan Aruch. Siman Even Ezer, Siman Aleph Seif Aleph, right in the beginning of Even Ezer. Chayev kol adam lisa isha kedei lifretz v'lirbes. A person is obligated to marry in order to have children. Kol mi she'eino yosek b'piri v'ribe kilo shefach damim u'mamat esadmus v'goyim l'shchina shel stalak mi'Yisrael. It's a terrible thing. A person, it's like he's damaged, he's kilu hurting the Eibishter.
The obligation on the man, not on the woman.
I spoke about this morning. But as I'm skipping out a few seifim here. So Shulchan says that wait till he's 18, then there's 20. After 20, must get married, unless he's learning Torah and he knows that he can deal with his Yetzer Hara, like Ben Azai said. But today, the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to force a person to get married. In those days, if your son didn't get married,
Get Malchus?
Really?
You can't give him malchus. How's it going to help? How's it going to help? He has to, from his own will, marry a woman. But they would go like this.
Oh, I see.
Today, Shulchan Aruch says, you don't shake him.
Well, that dad used to marry 12, 13, 14, they're
Okay,
That's the
but
ages
what they
to
didn't bother the boy until he's 20. At 20, they would start really harassing
Who's
him.
the thing? The Peston?
The parents, the best in the community. But,
Yeah.
but today we let people live. We let them live.
You guys ready to get
But
Funny.
we let.
get ready.
V'chol mi she'en le'isha shoda b'lo b'rocha b'lo toira. It's easy to say that there's a lot of boys and girls after 20. Every person that's sitting here should be busy making shidduchim. V'chol mi she'en le'isha shoda b'lo b'rocha b'lo toira. A person that without a wife is no bracha, no toira, v'la nikra adam is b'chal not a mensch. V'chol mi v'chivish enos adam ha'isha, when a person, v'chivish enos isha, a person gets married, have a noise of mispakpekim, shenem ha'motz isha, motz toiv, yafak rotzim Hashem toiv, because it like shakes off.
Oh.
So you get side benefit is that you know Avedis, you're clean from Avedis, your wife cleans you off from the Avedis.
You know what they said to
Yeah.
them?
Oh, no, it's not.
They say, מצא אישה, מצא טוב, לא מצא עוד יותר טוב.
Siftes, Alpha Pishakaim Piri V'Riba, even though a person was Mekayim the Mitzvah, Piri V'Riba, also L'Lamed B'Lo Isha. He already had a son and a daughter, so still he has to be married. And if he is not married, even though he already had a son and a daughter, he should marry a woman that could produce more children. What happens? He could get married. The woman that's not going to war. He's living in a basement apartment. She's not going to move into a basement apartment. If he has a nice house, he has a nice apartment, she'll marry
Nice
him.
car.
Yeah. So, but he doesn't have any money. But he happens to have two Sifrei Torah worth $50,000 a piece. If we'll sell them $100,000, get himself a nice apartment, a nice car.
BMW.
Let's say.
Oh, is he allowed to? Yeah, he must do it. If he has no children, he should sell the Sifrei Torah. If he already has children, without a woman's gaitnish, he must marry. But if it's really hard to get engaged to a woman that could have children,
If let's say you tried to get married and it just doesn't work out for you.
right. So
You should do that. Saying like you still made the effort to do it.
right.
You wanted to get married.
Make an effort that this person is making the effort. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not.
What I'm saying is, it says over here. It says before that if you're not like Adam. What does it say?
True.
Adam. It says
No, he's not an Adam yet till he finds. There's two parts. There is a punishment which a person is looking. You can't be punished for because he's looking. But to say that he turned into an Adam, no, because the Adam is only when he marries. He's not an Adam till he marries. Yesharim, the second opinion says, Shafilim yesh lo ish bonim, if he has children, yimker sefek Torah kadosh isa isha bas bonim. So we have your machloikis to the extent if he already has a son and a daughter, and Rahman al-Salam's wife passed away or whatever happened, got divorced. So one opinion says that even if he already has a son and daughter, he should still sell a sefer Torah in order to marry a woman which is a bas bonim. Wazak the Rambam Mishnah Torah Ishas Perek Tezvav Alocha Tezayin. Even though a person already did the mitzvah of Piri V'Riba, he has a son and a daughter. That the Chazal say that he shouldn't stop having children, reproducing. As long as there's the koyach. A person gets old, very old, it's not the koyach, but as long as the koyach, he should do it. Why? A person that's moisef, one nefesh, by Yidin Kila Bono Olam Aziv, he created a whole world. All the Meforshim ask a simple question. Where did Rambam pick this up? That's not what the Gemara says. The Gemara says that we learn this, and the halacha is taka like Rabbi Shua, and the Rif brings the halacha like Rabbi Shua, and the Gemara says halacha like Rabbi Shua. He brings a pasuk from Kehelas. There's a pasuk in Kehelas that says, Bochur baboiker zrazarechu ule'erev al tanach le'edech. In the morning you should plant your seeds. Means when you're young and strong you should plant your seeds, and when you're getting older you should keep on planting seeds. It's a pasuk. And the Gemara brings the pasuk, and the Rif brings the pasuk. Why does the Rambam bring something else? Why can't the Rambam bring it? There is I mean, every year when I learn this Rambam, I always think, the answer is simple. But until I learned the Sicha, I always think, because the Rambam likes to simplify things. For example, the Gemara says, how do you know you're not allowed to eat milk and meat? Torah only says you can't cook it. The Gemara is very busy in Kol HaBasar telling you 3 times. If Torah says 3 times not to cook it, right? So tell a person 3 times not to cook it. 1 not to cook it, 1 not to eat it, 1 not to have anoah. Or other limudim. The Rambam says, the Rambam ignores the whole Gemara. It's 3 daf in Gemara. I said, if it tells you not to cook it, obviously you can't eat it. There's another Rambam. The Torah never says you're not allowed to marry your daughter. The Gemara learns it out. So the Rambam says, you're not allowed to marry your granddaughter. Obviously you're not allowed to marry your daughter. Shosak min abbas, kimin she'osa bas abbas. The Rambam has this very, this thing of, rational. And because the Mefarshim say he's not arguing with the Gemara. He just wants to, even though Chazal know it from many psukim, he just wants to simplify it. But over here, what do you mean you're simplifying it? We don't. Where's the obligation? Shekola Moisef. But where do we see here an obligation? I should have more children. Okay, it's very nice. Like the Hatzalah they have there from the Gemara, the Sanhedrin, Kol HaMekayim Nefesh Achad Misro Kilim Kima. I'm a mechuyev to become a Hatzalah member, and I'm not a Hatzalah member. So how terrible is it? I'm still in good standing here in Beis Menachem Mendel. So but the Rambam, this pasuk doesn't bring out even the obligation. In the other places, the Rambam says it's a strong argument. He says, even if you think rationally, he says, if you didn't learn the Gemara, if the Eibishter said you're not allowed to cook milk and meat, so obviously you can't eat it. If the Eibishter said you can't marry your granddaughter, obviously you can't marry your daughter. It'd be crazy to think otherwise, right? But here, what did the Rambam? The Rambam says, what is the Rambam doing? So the Emek Sheila, the Netziv, says a pshat like this. A very complicated pshat. He has a pshat like this. He says that really the pasuk is saying 2 things. And the one thing is you don't know Ezem Em Yuchsha. You don't know. Really, it's like the Mefarshim say. What does it mean Ezem Em Yuchsha? Some say means maybe you have children, they'll die, or maybe they'll be the shoyim. And then the pasuk says, no, never mind. Even if they're all good, you should have children. So the Rambam is trying to say that the main thing is the second reason. The Rambam is trying to say the main thing is the second reason. The whole thing is a little bit funny. First of all, the pasuk doesn't say it's 2 reasons. The pasuk says it's 1 reason. And second of all, it's like a very funny thing to say. A person should have more children. Maybe they're going to die. Why should you think that way? And maybe the kids are going to go off the derech. Why should you think? Cheskas kashus. Every one of a person should believe that every one of his children are going to grow up to be wonderful people, good people. Why should he think that the children are going to go away from derech HaTorah? But why should you think that way? There's a concept that misal beitrei lo yachashina. So you're going to say, and if he has 4 children, then he doesn't have. It just there's a whole pshat. There's like a funny pshat, and we see Klal Yisrael don't have a second wife. It's not only from the time of Cherem the Rabbeinu Gershon. Even before, the Mefarshim say it wasn't a Jewish thing to do for Me'ozah Mekedem. It was not a very Jewish thing to do. Some people did it, or Yotzim and Aklal. It was a Yotzim, but it wasn't a... Why? Because we see Rashi says that one woman, when you marry 2 women, the women to each other are called Atzorah. So you're making a Tzorah to your wife. It wasn't the Jewish thing to do. Me'ozah Mekedem, Mefarshim say. Even the Cherem the Rabbeinu Gershon, Shulchan Aruch says, is not lasting forever.
And if you married 1, you need reshus.
Yeah, but the Mefarshim say that it never was. That there wasn't the derech, there wasn't the minig.
The kings had one.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise it wasn't the thing to do. So we see that wasn't the Jewish thing to do, to have a second wife. So, but why? If you're always choshesh that maybe these kids are going to die, you should try to marry up to 18 women at least, So we see that this is a funny pshat to say that Chazal say even if a person gets married to many women, he shouldn't marry more than 4 wives. 4 wives, and there's a joke, the Vel Zok, that says with Eov that God said you could do whatever you want to him. You could kill his children, you could torture him, you could do whatever you want. But you can't touch him, you can't touch his wife. So Vel said, "Why can't touch him? But why can't touch his wife?" So the they say the Vel says because the Eibusher knew he's going to do tshuva and he's going to get double his wealth, double his children. Second wife, never mind. That's not such a great thing. So he said, don't, if the Satan will take away his wife, everything the Eibush is going to have to give him later double. So they're going to have 2 wives. So the Eibush wanted to spare him that problem. So this is a funny thing to say. Question:
is a person allowed to marry a woman if he finds out that right beforehand she tells him, the doctor said it's not probable that I could have children?
It's very problematic. Well, that's a little out of the scope of today, but yeah, it depends if he has already children or not children. That's all part of the equation. It's a compliment. Yeah, it's sure it's a big problem. A person has to marry l'chatchila. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
I see.
And yeah, that's such a person that's got to go to Rav and work it out. Anyway, so what's the pshat in the Rambam? Before we go into the pshat in the Rambam, there's a few things interesting that the Rambam changes the whole lashon of the Gemara. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yeshua said, "Nasa adam isha b'yaldusa yisa isha beziknusa haya lebanim yaldusa yile lebanim ziknusa." The Rambam says it all differently. Why does the Rambam say the whole thing so differently? Also, he changes the lashon Chazal. What's the Rambam on about? So the Rebbe says like this: there's probably 2 ways of learning. Once you have a son and a daughter, why should you keep on having children? There's 2 ways of understanding it. One is that the Torah said the minimum. The minimum is to have a son and a daughter. Chazal said, well, that's the minimum. But you could do more.
But it's not up to you.
You could do more.
It's not up to you how many to have.
Chazal said that you should keep on going as much as you could. The other way of learning it is no. That once you did your mitzvah, you did mitzvah. Lamai Chazal said it's a separate thing. It's a separate thing. It's not part of the mitzvah of Piri V'Yiriba. And that would be also how we read the Gemara. According to one we read the Gemara is Mas Nisan the Loka Rabbi Yeshua. Our Mishnah can't go with Rabbi Yeshua. The Mishnah said Lo Yavat Lo Piri V'Yiriba Elam Ken Yesh Laban. If you have children, you can stop Piri V'Yiriba. So one way of saying it, that's not like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says you must continue Piri V'Yiriba. The other way says no, it's not a contradiction to Rabbi Yeshua. The Mishnah is talking about the mitzvah of Piri V'Yiriba. Rabbi Yeshua was talking a different thing about the mitzvah of having more children. There's 2 ways of understanding why should a person keep on having children. Children is not an easy thing to have. Every time you bring another child into the world, it's like you have. Never mind if you take all the tuition in. Never mind the tuition. Never mind all the expenses. I mean, you're now on Shpilkes for another 20, 25 years, right? You're not finished. This is you come home with the baby. You're in here a long-term commitment. A person says, I already have a son and daughter. Why should I continue having more children? One way is, Chazal said, continue this mitzvah Piri V'Yiriba. The other way of saying is, no, it's a special mitzvah D'Rabbanan. The Rambam wants to explain what is the mitzvah. So the Rambam says, even though you already did the mitzvah, you should keep on. It's not the pshat the mitzvah is finished when you had a son and a daughter. Chazal say you must continue the mitzvah. If you continue, you're doing the mitzvah. You're not doing a mitzvah D'Rabbanan. You're doing a mitzvah in a Torah. Just that the Torah says you're not. You bare minimum you did, but Chazal explained that it's maybe it's still a mitzvah, and the mitzvah is still Piri V'Yiriba, and the Rambam wants to explain why. Chazal say Kol HaMekayim Nefesh Kila Kima. The Rambam can't say this. The Rambam wants to explain Kol HaMoisef Nefesh Achas B'Yisrael. If you're Moisef, it's as if you're building an entire world. The Rambam wants to explain why is it because to begin with, why are you having children? Because they're building up the world. The Eibishter wanted that there should be many human beings. They should spread all over the world and build up the world. And befrat by Yidden. So every child you're moisef, you're being born into the world. So therefore Chazal said that even though Beis Hillel said that the minimum you did accomplish by having at least one son and a daughter, but you should keep on doing it. And so therefore the Rambam he's not ignoring the Gemara, he just wants to explain. The Gemara can be learned in 2 ways. He wants to explain that this is not stam a sheina mitzvah D'Rabbanan, like lighting Hanukkah candles. Hanukkah candles are very important. But this is not just, this is the first mitzvah in the Torah, and even though you tell me you already have a son and daughter, but Chazal say you should continue this mitzvah. This mitzvah, it goes good in the words of the Rambam. Afal pishakayim the mitzvahs Piri V'Yiriba, harei mitzvah medivre seifrim, shelo yevatel melifros v'ribos. The Rebbe has a beautiful pshat also in thought. The Rambam says in Hilchos Deis that if you everything you should do l'shem shamayim. Even when a person is with his wife, he shouldn't do it for pleasure. He should do it l'shem shamayim. What's l'shem shamayim? The Rambam says many levels in l'shem shamayim. The top level is that he'll be with his wife, and she'll become pregnant, and maybe he's going to be a chochem, but God will be Yisrael. Here the Rambam doesn't mention this. Why? Because that's not the point, that your son should be a chochem. That's a nice thing of l'shem shamayim when you have children. Even if the son is not going to be a chochem, but God will be Yisrael. Every time you're moisef a nefesh achas b'Yisrael, it's like you're building up the world. The Eibishter wanted to build up the world. There should be human beings, and especially Eden, all over the world. Every child you bring into this world, this is even though you said you already had a son and a daughter, every child you're building up the world. And the Rambam wants to explain this is not an extra, this is not cream on the pie. This is not a hidur mitzvah, an extra mitzvah derabanan. You're continuing the mitzvah pirya v'riba. And the Rebbe is moisef noch a nekuda. The Rambam says not kol ha-moiled nefesh, kol ha-yoitzer nefesh, kol ha-boirei nefesh. Because you can't, when you have a child, you're not creating anything new. The neshama is already there by the Eibishter. Even the body, it says there's three partners, Father, the Mother, and the Eibishter. You're being moisef a nefesh, and you're boina. What's boina? When you build, the builder doesn't make the bricks. The truck comes, delivery, bricks. They come from Home Depot with the lumber. They come from the cement company with the truck. And then the workers, they put the bricks together. When you're having a child, you're not yoitzer, you're not boide, you're not oiser, you're boina. You're putting your hands and you're helping the Eibishter build the world. So, besides the chidush shebazeh, the Rebbe says that there's a lesson of avodas Hashem. Chazal say kol ha'malamed ben chavei Torah, as if you gave birth to that person. That it doesn't have to be your biological child. If you teach Torah to someone, it's as if you gave birth to that person. It's unbelievable. There's a story that the Frierdiker Rebbe says that Baal Shem Tov. It's one of my best stories.
So if you're a Rebbe,
you have a lot of children, as you'll see from the story. There is a story, Baal Shem Tov stories, and they're flying in the air, and they're coming, having kvitzas haderech, and they came from Mezhebush to New York City in 25 minutes, and all these miraculous stories are beautiful, but I'm telling you, this is one of my best Baal Shem Tov stories, told by the Frierdiker Rebbe. And they're not flying in the air, and they didn't arrive in New York in 25 minutes, and the person that Nebuch needed a brocha never got the brocha. It's still one of the best stories. There was a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov. His name was Moshe Shlomo, and he was a very ehrlicher person. He was not very a big scholar, but he was a very fine person. The Baal Shem Tov, every time he came to the Baal Shem Tov gave him a brocha. And always the Baal Shem Tov said you should be healthy and you should be wealthy. And they gave him, and his wealth grew unbelievably. And he gave he was an open hand, give tzedakah to the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov would distribute this tzedakah to the tzaddikim nestorim. No children. 10 years go by. Every time he comes to the Frierdiker Rebbe says every time he's already asking the other students of the Baal Shem Tov, and they're all begging the Baal Shem Tov. You're helping the whole world, and you're giving brachas to so many people, and there's so many Yeshuas through you. Could you give one bracha to this couple, Moshe Shlomo and his wife Rivka? And it doesn't matter. Whatever they say, the Baal Shem Tov always says again, you should be healthy, you should be wealthy, you should have hashirus, and the Eibishter should protect you and give you, but for children, nothing. So finally, after 10 years, when all the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov begged the Baal Shem Tov so much, he said, call Moshe Shlomo. He said to Moshe Shlomo, I'd like you to come with your wife, and some of my Talmidim, I'd like to take a trip with you. No kvitzas haderech, the monkeys are not flying, the horse is not going in the air, they're driving a long time, they come to a town. They get off the wagon, and the Baal Shem Tov sees that there's a few children playing together. Walks over for his kid, he says, Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Kid says, my name is Baruch Moshe. Second kid, what's your name? Baruch Moshe. Third kid, what's your name? Moshe Mordechai. Very nice. Let's go. There are 3 girls playing. 4 girls, a couple of girls playing together. Hashem goes out, Shalom Aleichem Kinderlach. What's your name? Bracha Leah. Second, what's your name? Bracha Leah. What's your name? Bracha. what's your name? Leah. You get the Baal Shem Tov. Wherever you go in town, most children, the name is Baruch Moshe, if they're a boy, and if they're a girl, their name is Baruch Leah. Some variations, some have just a Baruch, just a Moshe, just a Bracha, just a Leah, but it basically, almost everyone has these names. It's, like coming in Lubavitch, and most, there's Chaim Mushkin and Menachem Mendel, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, gefragt, the Baal Shem Tov, Baal Shem Tov came with his Talmidim to the shul, and he asked the people, what's going on? Everyone has this. Tell me, there was probably a big tzaddik who was a Rov, who his name was Baruch Moshe, and his wife's name was Baruch Leah, right? They said, no. Well, who tells you such a thing? He said, because all the kids have this name. They said, no, there was no, you don't know what you're talking about. We'll tell you the story. There was not a tzaddik nister, and it was not a Godel B'Yisrael. There was a butcher in this town. The butcher, his name was Baruch Moshe. And his wife, his name was Baruch Leah. He was not a Rav, and he was not a tzaddik. But he was a very good man. He had very simple kishroinus, and it bothered him that he couldn't learn. And Nebuch, he didn't have any children. He was also, besides being a butcher, he did other business. He was a wealthy man. And he used to come at night when they before Maidav, and the Rav used to give a sheet in the Ein Yaakov. And he used to sit and listen. He didn't understand much, but a little bit he understood. They once were learning the Gemara in Yevomis. I'm sorry, Sanhedrin. The Gemara says, that if you teach Torah to another Jew, so it's as if you gave birth to that child. And he came home and he cried. He said to his wife, at least if I could learn, I could teach another child Torah. And it wasn't my biological child, but it would be my child according to the Gemara. And now we have no children, and I can't learn, so I can't teach it. The wife said, you know what? Maybe discuss it with the Rav. He went to the Rav, and the Rav said, when the Gemara says, Kol HaMalamed is b'nei Chavei Torah, it doesn't mean that you have to open up the Mishnayos and to learn with every child personally. Shluchim shel Adam kamoisa. You could have someone do it for you. If you would go out and pay a Malamed a full salary, and he has a table of children, and those children are learning by this Malamed, and you provide the Malamed with a salary, and you provide the children with lunch. These are your children. You have to learn personally. No, you don't have to learn personally with them. And these are your children. The butcher said, great idea. He came home, told his wife, we got it. That's it. That's what we're doing. His wife agreed. They hired a Malamed. Free tuition. That class filled up very quickly. They said, you know what? It's good. Geld haben sie. Nebuch, they had no children. They said, let's get a second teacher. Before you knew it, they had a whole cheder. Every Malamed wanted them to hire, and every child wanted to go to that school. So that was it. There was no other schools. There was no Malamedim. They ran the whole. Every child, every boy and girl in this town came to this cheder. Free tuition, no questions asked.
Free lunch.
Avi, we'll have more children.
Wow, Felicia. Wow.
So that was it, and that went on for many, many years. That went on for many years. Before he passed away, the Chaver Kedisha came and he cried. He said, "I have no children. Who's going to say Kaddish for me?" So the Chaver Kedisha said, "Don't worry. We're all going to say Kaddish for you." People found out that he cried and that he was worried that no one will say Kaddish. They said, "Don't worry. We'll do something for him." And he passed away. A short time later, his wife passed away, and the people, they learned Mishnayos for them, and they said Kaddish for them. But now people were having children, and people felt mamish a certain akoras hatoif to them. There was already so many years people that grew up in this school that was free of charge. So people gave names. This person, he's passed away about 15 years ago, they said. So therefore, all the children in town, if, sometimes people give both names. If Rabbi Zayda has a name, everyone tries to give name after this butcher and his wife, because they were giving free tuition for everyone in this town. Hashem Tov davened mincha with his talmidim there in the shul. He didn't say another word. He went back on the wagon. together with him went his Talmud, Moshe Shlomo and his wife Rivka and the Talmidim. Hashem didn't talk anymore. And his the Talmidim understood what the Baal Shem Tov said. In other words, the Baal Shem Tov said, this is what you're going to do. This is the Eitzah. And you're going to give tzedakah for other children to learn Torah, and these children are going to be mamash your children. So this story was told by the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's a very reliable story. Sagt the Rebbe that if you look in the Gemara, that's the Hemshech Gemara. The Gemara tells a whole story about Rabbi Akiva. What's the connection? Because just like when you have children, they're your children. If you have Talmidim, they're your children. And just like when children, even though you already have a son and a daughter, it's a mitzvah to have more. Same thing, even if you already, a person says, when I was young and I had koyach, I went out and I taught Torah to another. I tried to influence Jews around me. I tried. Wherever I went, I was in business, I was at work, wherever I when I was in college, for sure, I was part of the Hillel Club, the Chabad Club. But now, who am I going to influence now that I'm an Alta Yid? Who am I going to go learn with now? So that's what the Gemara is saying. Just like when you're young, you have to have more children. When you're old, you also have to have more. You have to have children. You're old, you also have two children. The Gemara continues. That's what the Gemara says. That this, just like with children, same thing with Talmidim. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Lama Torah b'Yaldusa, Yelma Torah b'Ziknusay. Hoyla Talmidim b'Yaldusa, Yirla Talmidim b'Ziknusay. Just like when you learn Torah, you can't say, "Now I'm old, I retire, I don't learn Torah anymore." Learning Torah is oxygen of a Yid. You can't say retire. Same thing when you influenced other Jews when you were young. When you're older, it's the same thing. And the Gemara says, I'll continue. I'll tell you a story of Rabbi Akiva who put in so much effort, and he had 24,000 children. Nebuch all died. You'd think he'd be dejected, and that's it. He would give up. No, he went and he found another 5 students, and Dafka, these 5 were very successful. And the whole Torah Shabbat is standing on them. So that's the lesson that we take from this mitzvah. That it's not, that's the Rebbe saying is, it's not, the Rambam is trying to say, it's not an extra chi of the Rabbanon. There's a mitzvah to light Shabbos candles, Chanukah candles, there's a few nice mitzvahs the Rabbanon, and there's also a mitzvah the Rabbanon to have more children. The Rabbanon say that this is afal pishakayim or the mitzvahs pidi v'ribe harei mitzvah medivrisarifim shelo yevatel melifres v'ribres kol zman sheyesh bekoyach. It's not an extra mitzvah the Rabbanon. It's not an extra mitzvah. The Rambam is explaining that this is a continuation of the original mitzvah. It's not icing on the cake. And just like begashmis with children, it's not an icing in the cake to have more children. The same thing spiritually, when you influence another Yid, one Yid has to influence another Yid. Like the Frierdiker Rebbe said to the students, you're telling me there's no sviva? You're not ashamed to tell me that? You have to make your sviva. One Yid has to make another Yid, and one chassid has to make another chassid. The Rebbe should help. And we see that in this generation, Taka, that from families, it's unbelievable. It's the difficulty of raising children, as everyone here knows, and the expense also everyone here knows, and tuition everyone here knows, and yet Yiddish families are having big families, Baruch Hashem. So sometimes we wonder what schus do we have in this generation that we're going to bring Mashiach Tzidkenu, but Metzias is there was no, maybe because of medicines, maybe this or that. Metzias is there was no generation that Jewish people had such big families like now. Families of 10, 12, huge families. Frum people are having big families, and they're putting their whole neshama into raising their children, raising good children. They're putting the entire life into it. Their whole investment of their whole life is in their children. So we have to know that Chazal tell us, "Kamosh nigulu Yisrael miMitzrayim, b'schusha yiporim v'rovim, kamoy ken yigulu l'osed love b'schusha yiporim v'rovim, ein Yisrael nigolim elam ken yiporim v'rovim v'yiu molei chol ha'olam." So Mitzvah Hashem, the Eibusha should help that in the schus of all the Baruch Hashem in this generation, that Yidden are having such beautiful, big families, that Mashiach Tzidkenu should come, and Taka, we should continue. We shouldn't. Some of us are already a little older than maybe the age of having physical children, but spiritual children. No one here is too old to influence other Yidden, and more Yidden and more Yidden. And then the contrary, when you're older, you have more experience, and you have more sweetness, and you can influence people. So we should all take from this Parsha, this Achlota Toiva, because we're standing now in Parshas Bereshis and Noach, and the Rebbe says a beautiful Chiddush. Then Bereshis, he told them to have children, they didn't have any children yet. But in Noach, he told it a second time, because they already had children. He said, you have to keep on having children. So we're now standing in Parshas Noach, that we should take Achlota Toiva, Begashmis, we should have as many children as we can. And then Beruchni is that we should influence as many Yidden as we can, and this Chus we should have Mashiach Tzidkenu.